Trucks are now carrying new types of hazardous materials across the Ambassador Bridge and into Canada. Transport trailers full of flammable liquids and corrosive materials driving across a 95-year-old bridge raises the question, what kind of risks are there? Michigan's Department of Transportation started studying this in 2021 before lifting these restrictions. Hazardous materials like flammable gas, spontaneously combustible, and toxic materials have been cleared to cross the Ambassador Bridge for more than a decade. These new materials could use a ferry that crossed the Detroit River, but it was shut down last year. That was a massive change for drivers like Brian Wilkins, who hauls Class 3 flammable liquids between Windsor and Detroit.
Now, instead of us driving 30 minutes to deliver a load, now we're having to drive all the way up to Port Huron, which is 2.5 hours through farmlands, back roads, and whatever, to the Port Huron Bridge, and then another hour and a half back down. So, you know, you're talking about a 30-minute trip, which is right here, and now we're doing 5.5 hours.
Now that the restrictions are lifted on the Ambassador Bridge, he's back to quick trips.
It's so stress relieving because now, especially right before the winter, like I can sit here all day and tell you the horror stories I have taking those back roads trying to get to Port Huron when it's snowing like crazy, the roads are icy, and behind me have 30,000 pounds of the most wicked stuff you can think about.
There are still restrictions. The bridge won't let him cross if they think he'll be stuck in traffic above the river, and each crossing requires an escort from Ambassador Bridge staff. When he gets into Canada, he's using the same roads he did with the ferry and similar to the route he took when using the Blue Water Bridge. This change, you taking your truck across the Ambassador Bridge, do you think it makes anybody less safe?
Absolutely not.
American safety officials did highlight one concern that Wilkins shares. The Ambassador Bridge doesn't have a fire suppression system that will put out a fire that involves a truck carrying Class 3 flammable liquids. That requires a specific type of foam that would need to come from nearby fire departments. Windsor doesn't want this. Council says they can't do anything about it. So they've asked the federal government to step up. The feds say this isn't their jurisdiction, it's a provincial matter. The province, through a spokesperson, says no, it's not. We don't provide regulatory oversight over a private company like the Ambassador Bridge. That's left everybody pointing fingers at each other while new types of hazardous materials start driving across North America's busiest international crossing. Chris Hensing, CBC News, Windsor.